Welcome to Solve This Murder. I'm your detective, Bill.
And I am your crime scene criminal and witnesses, Dani. We're up to the final part of Mystery of the Murdered Medium.
The denouement.
Last episode, Bill worked out all of the details surrounding Miss Amica's sordid crime ring.
And now all the pieces are put in place, and it's time to solve this murder. What do I know? I'm going to go through, not as like a mini denouement. I'm going to go through my suspects.
I think you should do it as a denouement, so you can do it as more of a performance to the other characters.
What if I'm so wrong? Okay. All right. Okay.
If you're wrong, I'll have them lead you into directions.
All right. Let's do the denouement.
Okay.
I invite everyone into my sitting room.
You invite everyone in. Some of them are surprised to see one another. Mel is particularly unhappy about this.
She's in a comically like striped prisoner's outfit and a little hat.
Nate sits as far away from her as possible.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our murder party. I've invited you all here today because all of you are involved in the murder. Well, not involved, right? All of you were suspects.
Yeah, thanks. That seemed like a bit of a stretch.
All of you were suspects in the investigation of the murder of one Miss Amica, whose real name I never really got, so maybe I should have. Hey, Simba, did anyone get to identify the body? Does she have a real name?
Yeah, it was Annabelle.
Annabelle. Come on, keep it snappy, Simba.
Sorry, I'm going through my notes. I'm reading the report.
What did it say?
It says...
Don't look at the books on the bookshelf. Carlo?
Carlo.
Okay.
Annabelle Carlo.
Annabelle Carlo. And you didn't just look at my bookshelf and come up with it? Okay. You're sure?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Simba. One Annabelle Carlo, who you all knew as Miss Amica, died. Now, many of you knew her as a psychic, but she had another job. A more shady job. A more devious job.
Sasha's eyes widen, and she takes out her Tic Tacs, starts popping them.
Miss Amica was a thief. Now, of course, some of you may not have known this. Now,
Gordon just sort of nods. Yeah, damn right she was.
Now, Gordon, I don't think she stole from you, other than the cost of a bad seance. Now, look, you didn't know this. You were not one of her marks. You arrived. You told us everything. You told us that you'd been there. You told us that you had found the body unashamedly, and you had good cause for your return. And I don't believe that you are the murderer. I think you've acted with us clearly.
Whew.
You have no real motive. Now, of course, timing-wise, you may have come back and killed her, and no one could have known. But I believe you when you say that. Well, when you imply, I don't think you ever said you were innocent, but you didn't say you were guilty.
That seems like an oversight.
So, Gordon, you're fine. You know.
Can I go now?
No, you got to stay.
Oh,
it's cool.
Sorry. I don't know how this works.
Sasha.
Yeah?
You've been seeing Miss Allison for 2 years.
Miss Amica. Miss Allison is my girlfriend.
Who you've been seeing for?
A few months.
Okay. You've been seeing Miss Amica for 2 years.
Yeah.
And during that time, she always seemed quite nice.
She's amazing. Like, there's no way she's a thief. That's unbelievable. She's never stolen anything from me. I will be her character witness.
Oh, of course. How much would you say that you have, Sasha? You're a wealthy person?
No, of course not.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, what was your job again? You're not a publisher. You're a... What was her job?
Am I not?
No, Allison's a publisher.
No, I'm a graphic designer.
Yeah, okay, cool. So she didn't really act as your psychic. You didn't know anything about her criminal dealings. And you just had good kind of time with her. Yeah, you didn't really know the real Allison. Wait, you don't? Well, you know the real Allison. Maybe. I don't know. You haven't been dating for a few months. You didn't really know the real Amica.
You saying that she was just like putting on a front for me so I'd tell everyone how nice she was.
I mean, did you often advertise for her?
I wouldn't call it advertising, but...
Do you know Mel Cuthbert?
No.
Then you're probably fine. Allison?
Yeah.
You're pretty cool.
Thank you. And I totally think that that's right. I mean, if I were running a criminal enterprise, you'd want someone to honestly advocate for you, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
You'd want someone to think you were a real good person. Sorry, Sasha.
Yeah.
But I think you got played. Not by me. No, I really like you.
You two are also off my list of suspects.
Cool. I mean, it makes me feel a bit boring, but okay.
But you're also cool. Both of you.
It was the bin thing, right?
Yeah, you got the bins.
Yeah.
You're pretty cool. Do you tap dance, Sasha?
I really don't.
You do. You do a little. Movement is dance and tapping is tapping.
Okay.
Now, Mel,
Uh-oh.
you were part of Amicus Criminal Syndicate.
Syndicate.
It's a two-person syndicate. Stop being so happy about this.
Sorry,
You're under arrest.
I'm really uncomfortable right now.
You're going to jail. But
I didn't do anything. I don't see why I should be going to jail.
you're not going to jail for the murder of Miss Amica because I don't think there's any reason you should have murdered her. She gave you a reasonable revenue stream through your illegal criminal dealings that you did illegally with her as a criminal.
She did illegally.
That you kind of helped with. There's a whole series of criminal things that you did. You just didn't physically steal anything. Come on, get your head out of your ass. You're a criminal. I'm Mel. I'm a criminal. Oh, I love stealing things. I'm Mel. Go to jail. Get her out of here. Take her back to jail.
Oh, so she's allowed to leave.
Shut up, Gordon. Violet,
Yeah.
you were played. Sorry, wait, Alison?
Yeah? Oh, sorry. You got played.
Thank you.
Sorry, you look like a really nice person. I didn't...
No, don't apologize, Alison. You have a skill. You got to use it.
No, I get that now. I'm getting very uncomfortable with the way you're going down this list. I was starting to feel like you were going to leave me for last.
No, that's fine. I look at Jenna, and then I look back, and then I look back at Violet. You spent a long time going to her sessions, and at some point she robbed you, but
I feel like an
you stayed.
absolute idiot.
And if there's one thing that you need to have learned from this, is that you, Violet, must now become a trapeze artist. Go, quit your job, join the trapeze. It's crazy that you haven't done it already. She stopped giving you advice because she stopped caring because she'd already robbed you. Just go and be a trapeze artist.
Well, I mean, I've been thinking about it, and maybe it was the other way around. Maybe she was encouraging me just to get me back there, and afterwards she started giving me the real advice.
That's true.
It's pretty insane to be a trapeze artist.
Go and be a trapeze artist. Follow your dreams.
All right, I'll do
Okay,
it.
wonderful.
32-year-old trapeze artist.
I've got your back.
No experience.
It doesn't matter.
I'll do it.
Here's what you do. Learn a bit of trapeze. Practice it. Start teaching it to kids. That's where the real money is.
Ah, I like it.
Go into trapeze law.
Oh, that's exciting.
Lots of people have accidents, and you need to do liability law
I've
for
read
trapeze.
about those cases.
Get into trapeze law.
They're pretty great.
Go and have a great life, Violet.
Okay, I'll do it.
Jenna.
I'll dissolve the firm.
Oh my gosh, do
I'm
please.
a partner.
Yeah, okay, dissolve it. Dissolve the firm. Become a gymnast, a trapeze artist. Don't even worry about it.
It'll go from being Lockheed Johnson and Wynn to nothing.
Or just Lockheed and Johnson.
Oh, they can't do it on their own.
Lockheed Johnson and Sasha.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Yeah, that's how it works. Jenna,
Yes.
when you came into my office.
This is cool. You're actually being quite reassuring leaving Nate for last.
Oh, Nate, you're fine.
Oh, what the hell? What am I even here for?
Yeah, I don't know. You're a mark. Don't go to did you cancel your trip?
I mean, I booked another trip.
Cool. It actually really doesn't matter. You probably didn't need to cancel. I mean, you shouldn't go with Mel, right? Because she's in jail.
Yeah, that's all good.
Right? And she was playing you. But yeah, go wherever you want, actually, because the thief is dead.
Yeah, that's all right.
Long live the thief.
My Lamborghini's in the shop this week, so I need to get away anyway because I can't drive around.
Nate, you have too much money.
Thank
How would you like to
Thank
invest in a trapeze law firm?
That sounds hilarious.
Okay. Have you left yet, Violet? Violet, come back. Violet.
She comes back in
Nate's going to invest in your trapeze
wearing a
law firm.
leotard.
And a judge's wig. Nate's investing.
That's too sexy for this podcast.
Jenna.
Huh?
Now you're last.
Excellent. Well, this is going to be very underwhelming, I suppose.
Simba is in the corner like, I hope he doesn't think I'm the murderer. When you came into my office, you said this was the first time that you'd ever been to a psychic reading by one Miss Amica. And the reason you said that is because you knew how much it would incriminate you if the truth came out. You were duped You feel like a fool because you are a fool. You believed Mel. Look at her. Outside in the back of that police car. You believed her when she took you to a psychic... I'm denouementing here. She took you to a psychic reading that tried to make you feel happy about yourself, and you did. It worked. Miss Amica worked her charms on you, and you felt happy. You left on a trip trying to improve your life, feel happy, feel good. And it was then that it all came out that she had played you for a fool. Alison!
Ooh. Boo.
All right, thank you.
I couldn't say it again. That's 3 times. That's too many.
That's perfect. You were played for a fool. You got played. And you felt bad about it. And you grumbled and you grimbled and you grambled.
That's a lie. I mean,
it's true.
It's
true.
no one's happy about being robbed.
And
but...
you grumbled and you grimbled and you grambled. And then 6 months later, or a few months later, you returned. Now, you weren't sure at this point whether or not who had stolen from you. You didn't know. Maybe you had some thoughts. Maybe you had some inklings. But you were a fool and you had no real idea. And you went back to Amica's psychic things like a dummy, returning to the scene of the person who crimed. But it was there that you noticed something. You're a perceptive person. And you saw on her fingers.
That's funny. You told me in our very first meeting that you didn't think I was very perceptive.
And you remember, because you're perceptive. There was a fake out. And you saw some rings on her fingers, maybe a necklace around her neck, maybe an earring on her ear, and you noticed them because they were yours. They were the jewels that had been stolen from you earlier, and you pieced it all together. Suddenly, like a burst of light in your mind, you saw what was going on.
This is so wrong.
And you said, "Dang you, Amica!" And you got angry. You tried to steal your things back, and she wouldn't give them to you. So you picked up the nearest blunt object, a big old bowl of lollies, and you smashed her with it. You smacked her right in the face. You hit her in the side of the head. She fell, bleeding, but the job wasn't done. You had to make sure that she couldn't tell anybody what you'd done. So you choked her to death, and then you left. And then later on, someone found the body, and then the whole thing happened with the investigation, and then I found out about all the crimes, and then I arrested you for murder.
This is so not right.
It's right.
You think I'm an idiot.
You are an idiot. You had no idea.
That's a lie. That's a complete lie. I knew exactly who had done it. You think that when the police say, "Oh no, it's a robbery, I can't do anything about that," you don't think that I'm going to go out and try to find out who did it? You don't think I'm going to go and investigate pawn shops to see if they have been given any of my jewelry?
And you did? And you found out?
Of course I did.
So you went there on that day knowing?
It was...
You went there with did you plan to kill her?
Absolutely not.
Oh, we almost didn't say not.
Of course not. And she had my grandmother's ring still on her finger.
So you got angry? You tried to take it back from her, but she didn't give it to you?
I tried to go in and say, "Oh, yes, how about a palm reading?" And then, have an excuse to have my hands near hers.
But you couldn't get the rings off.
Didn't work.
She stopped you.
She recognized who I was at that point.
And so you had to hit her.
I thought that would be enough to get the ring off, and...
But it wasn't. She was hurt. Too hurt. You had to choke her to death.
I didn't have to.
You wanted to.
She deserved it. And then you still think I was an idiot. You didn't even notice.
Take her away, boys.
You didn't even notice the other things that I did.
What did you do?
There was more to this.
Oh no, what else did you do? Oh no, what else did she do?
She's been dragged away.
Oh no, what did she do? I visited her in prison. What else did you do, Jenna?
There was a whole train of thought that you considered, and then you abandoned without even thinking about it.
What? Okay.
The idea of it not being her behind the headscarf. I wanted to sow those seeds in your mind.
Yeah, what was up with all that? Hold on. I've solved the crime. Let's take a break for a second here and play. And we did it. I did it.
Good job.
Now, if anybody has emailed in and they said that it was Jenna who did the murder, which kind of makes sense from the beginning, right? She was the last person to see her alive. It lines up pretty well. She was probably going to be the murderer. So we may have a few people who got this early. But if you did get that, congratulations, you got it right.
There was a whole subplot of her manipulating a couple of things in the room to make it seem like it actually happened earlier.
Let's talk this through. Yeah. Let's talk. Let's break down. Let's break it down. It's the break it down music. That's our for our breakdown. Okay. So let's break down this murder.
Let's go through
So what happened?
person by person as they went in to have their appointments.
Okay.
So first of all, Sasha and Alison went in.
Yeah.
They received their not wonderful news. I don't know if you noticed, maybe Sasha has some nervous tics,
Yes. Tax.
including nervous eating.
Yes.
When
So
they
she
started
would have
getting
had
bad
those
news,
lollies and put them in the bin.
she ate a buttload of lollies.
Okay. Interesting.
And then things continued. After that came Gordon, who was frustrated, knocked over the bin. Lolly
Sure.
wrappers went
Went
flying.
everywhere. But when someone else later on said there were only like 2 or 3 lolly wrappers.
Someone said there were lolly wrappers everywhere. You counted only 2 lolly wrappers.
Oh, interesting.
Because Jenna had tried to make it look like not many people had been there when a confrontation took place. She thought that as part of her struggle, she'd knocked over the bin.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So what was going on with the headscarf stuff? Because I pegged in early that maybe Amica wasn't Amica.
Yeah.
Was Amica always Amica?
Amica was always Amica, but Jenna wanted to cast doubt that it may have been, hence mentioning things like her voice being muffled.
So she was trying to plant the idea that Amica had already been killed by the time
And you
Jen's
didn't
thing
take
came
it.
through.
You didn't take the bait.
I almost did, but I just couldn't. The problem with that for me was who would bring the body back? When would that have happened?
She
right?
had a big desk. It might have been hidden under it the whole time.
Maybe.
There was
feel
only a single drawer.
Yeah, I found
There were also mats everywhere.
True. So someone could. So that was meant to be like the red herring that she was trying to get me to follow as an investigator.
Yes.
The concept of she was killed early and then an imposter took her place for the rest of the day. And so the few things that were knocked over was like, oh, there weren't many people there like it was early on in the day.
Yeah.
So she was trying to play that off to hide her.
And hope that things like the candy bowl would be small enough issues that other people wouldn't have been observant enough to notice them, which was true.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
And even things like you asked a couple of people what color her eyes were. You only asked like actually one person that. If you'd asked more, you would have found some conflict there.
Really? Just because they
Yes.
didn't remember well enough?
No, because
Amica has lots of different coloured contacts?
different people knew her.
True.
Some people would have believed that her eyes were blue because that's what it looks like in her tent.
With the blue light
Yeah.
off the thing. That's really cool. So that would have been this whole
And then-
side thing
but
that was
then you
designed
would
to
have-
throw down.
But then you would have known, like Mel knew that her eyes were brown, would have said so, might have made you think that the light had come unplugged earlier in the investigation.
Oh, so there were all these little red herrings that if I'd
You
been...
just didn't
I was not...
grab 'em.
I didn't have enough... Like, if I'd been better at picking up these clues, I would have gotten
It's interesting.
more sidetracked.
See, I have what color eyes everyone thought that she had.
And I just didn't
Things
follow
like
up on it.
rough hands. There were 3 people who got their palms read by her.
Yes.
Anything like that. You may have noticed there was a Sharpie. The first 2 people said that they got drawn all over their hands by her.
You're right.
Jenna would not have. And in which case, does that mean that someone else was trying to read her palm, or that she never got a
that
palm
she didn't
read?
get a palm read.
Yeah.
Wow, there's all these little extra layers of like misdirection that I didn't even get to.
And this is always...
This could have taken 5 hours to get through if I'd
And
gotten caught up.
This is always so interesting because these are all the sorts of things that if you are writing a whodunit short story, you can make sure that they all
but
get
I just didn't even
learned.
interpret. And I think part of that is a lack of a methodical questioning on my part. I was a bit too haphazard. I think maybe next time for my next investigation, I should like prepare a set list of like questions that I want to get through before I start doing the questioning. Because I just sort of jumped into it because that was quite haphazard.
Maybe.
Maybe I need to, or when I think of a new one, I should go back and re-examine everyone's thoughts about it.
Could be. But you still did the great thing, which is excellent, which is the let's find a point where we can say, here's what people have said. Let's assume that's a lie. And go back and see if we can verify. You went back to verify things.
Yes, and that's when I started noting some things that were unverified. I still never looked at that discount list. Was there anything from that would have been an interesting set of clues?
Very rarely, but again, you would have noticed that Mel's name was there multiple times. Because every time she has shown up and said, oh yeah, this is my first time. Let's totally do this again
so
sometime.
it kept being added as a new person.
Yes.
That's really interesting. That's cool. Oh, how interesting. I like that. That was really fun. That was a really nice, was concise. It was, it made a lot of sense. And I just didn't ask the right questions. But in a weird way, that helped me for this investigation. Because the right questions would have got me the wrong answers.
Absolutely.
The wrong questions got me to the right answers.
The bumbling detective saves the day.
Yeah, I just kind of blomped my way through that. So as I get better, these may get harder.
Fingers crossed.
Which is interesting. Because, those are questions I should have asked. And I almost, because I got really, for a while there, I was really onto the track of her being a different person.
Yeah.
And that throws the whole question of timing into problem. I think maybe if the body had been found somewhere else, I would have been convinced that it was a different person and the body had been stashed earlier.
I should have stashed it under the desk.
Yeah, I think if it was more stashed, I would have been like, okay, someone has but as it is, it's like, this is where she died, so someone dragged her back here to frame someone later.
Okay.
I think that's probably what... This isn't like a critique of the thing.
Well, I mean, it is and it's valid.
But I reckon that's what stopped me from getting too caught up.
Yeah, cool. So if anyone wants to use my very brief and not even all-inclusive of what happened in this arc's notes to run this murder mystery for someone else... by all means, make that change.
Yeah,
could be a big improvement.
That's worth mentioning. So, for people who don't know our existing other show that we have, in that show, Dani designs escape rooms that are pure audio, and we make the notes for those escape rooms available to the public, so you can listen, so you can play and run the escape room for friends. Now, this is something that's a little bit harder because, as you say, some of this stuff that happened was not in your notes.
Yeah, and it's so just interactive. It's conversational. A grandmother's ring, that wasn't mentioned anywhere, but
it's much more.
Worked.
It fits into the... So we will make these notes available. If you look in the show notes, probably for every episode of this story...
Ooh, I wouldn't say so, no.
Wait,
just
right.
the
Definitely
final
not.
episode.
So if you look in the show notes of the final episode, or maybe this episode right now, the breakdown episode...
yeah, that makes even more sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely no spoilers until you're done.
The full notes for this mystery, all the kind of information that's present,
working with.
will be there. So you can try, if you'd like, to run this for friends and see if they can solve the murder in a different way. It is a little bit harder. It's a bit more effort on your part.
Unless maybe that's the sort of thing you like.
So if you'd like to do that, we would love to hear how it goes. So send us an email or tweet at us, or all of those links are in the show notes, and tell us how it went, because we'd love to hear back about how your session went. Of course, if you do tweet at us, spoiler free, please, for people who haven't listened to the show yet. That was great. Was there anything else that I missed? I think that's why I didn't get caught up on the face thing, is because of the positioning of the body. It didn't feel like a body that had been hidden. And so because of that, I didn't feel like it was a body that could have been hidden during some sessions, you know?
That's fair.
So I think that's why I didn't get caught up on that red herring. What was the other one? The one about...
candy wrappers? Other sort of thing?
Candy wrappers, other stuff. Yeah, I feel like that does make sense. I think if more people had talked about eating the lollies, maybe that would have caught me. But that almost feels like that as a thing wouldn't have caught me. It just implies that someone was trying to catch me out. Because really the person who ate the most was the very first session of the day.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's why Jenna assumed that lots of people had been in.
And she was wrong.
Yeah.
So that's almost like her attempt at a red herring that actually gives more information somehow.
Absolutely.
Like, that's really cool. That is really cool. I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. This is going to be a solid series to turn into a book at the end of the first couple of years or something. True. I feel like eventually I'm going to need to hire an assistant. I'm keeping Alison's number.
Okay, so you've got a bin enthusiast and a trapeze judge.
Yep.
This is a pretty good team.
It's a good team. So I'll get them all together, but at some point I need a cool assistant. But for now, I've got some more mysteries to solve. I wonder what the next case will be. Do you have any ideas? Have you written one already?
Yeah.
Can we give a hint to people who are listening to this as to what the next...
I can't remember which one's coming next.
Take a second to check your notes. Or think about it, come up with an idea, and then mention it.
My notes are split over 2 different books.
Okay.
I can't remember. I know that there's one that starts at the beach.
Interesting. That could be fun. Bill Billingham goes on holidays.
Yeah, it's totally not just the beach 50 meters from where we live.
Wonderful. All right, that was great fun. Thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed listening, and we'll see you next time.
For another guilt-free murder. Not that there's not a guilty party, just that you don't have to feel guilty for enjoying murder.
Solve This Murder is created by Bill Sunderland and Dani Siller. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at Solve This Murder. For questions, queries and theories, send an email to solvethismurderpod@gmail.com. Thank you to Jared, Devon and Whit of Advanced Sagebrush and Shootouts for creating our theme music. And thanks to all of you for listening.